right. Listen, most real estate investors aren't stuck because they need more leads. They're stuck because they don't have a sales process. 2025 is already exposing the gap between the hustlers and the operators. And the winners, they've got documented systems, clear KPIs, and intentional relationships. Benmont Locker has built and scaled multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses, co-founded ramp and facilitated growth for some of the top investors inside the Collective Genius Mastermind. And today, he's breaking it all down, the real reasons you're plateauing and the exact structure you need to fix it. Let's get right to it. Welcome to the Closers Club. Benmont, I appreciate you coming on. Let's jump right in. So, a lot of investors out there, they're chasing all these marketing tricks. It's something new every single day. When the real issue, honestly, is their sales structure. What's the first domino that most people are missing when it comes to, just building a real sales process?
Yeah, it's a great question. And thanks for having me, David. Always a pleasure to spend time and see it's a screen sometimes, it's a passing at a mastermind others. And here we are today. So
here we are.
Always a pleasure, my man.
Thank you.
To answer your question, sales to me is understanding what sales is. So when like you ask what's missing, it is the belief system of what sales is and what that looks like inside your organization, which is empathy, understanding, being a human, and then solving a problem. That is sales to me. We get very hung up on scripts and talk tracks and CRM boxes to check. And naturally, I'm a self-proclaimed nerd in this industry. And I'm so tired of like the over objectivity. And we forget that we're human beings and dealing with people's most emotional asset and highest value asset there is.
Cannot agree more. I say that to people all the time. Like, these are real people with real problems that are really losing sleep at night. We can't treat them like just a commodity. And I love that. I've always hated scripts. I just feel like it makes you sound just so absolutely robotic.
Yeah, it's really challenging, and we focus on crazy things. A good example of that is we were doing a training yesterday. Brought the whole sales team into a room, and they were underwhelmed. We took an hour where we made them stand up where there was good energy, show them what posture, opening up your diaphragm can do, and bringing energy can do by understanding what the call is. They thought they were going to get like the say this when they say this version.
Right.
And we worked for 1 hour on their greeting on the call. And why that's so important is how that starts. Anything is right, like the total impact of what that call is going to look like. And many people don't have that belief system. We all need leads. What PPL provider, what mail, what fake check. But when the opportunity comes, do you know how to serve that person? Like, are you really doing a good job? All of us worry about the technical pieces, and sometimes we forget simply how to be an amazing human being. Use these little things here that I cover mine with headphones, listen, and then respond accordingly without a preempted response from a lead sheet or something else, from the sales script that you wrote.
Yeah, I feel like so many times, wholesalers, whether it's new wholesalers or somebody on your team, they're just rushing so fast. They're just trying to get to the end, and they miss so many important things. And one thing I would always tell my team is like, pretend you are really going to buy this house. Like, I know that sounds crazy. So foreign, but like actually ask the questions that you think we need to know, because we want to set the seller up for success. We don't want to just say, oh, I'll give you whatever you want, and then we can't sell it, and then we just create this whole cavalcade of problems that just domino and ruin everybody's day.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's we make it hard for ourselves, I think, and I think that's one of the things in the industry. Then with that, you talk about KPIs. We say dials, talk time, all of these things, and you start working towards these goals. How about what if our goal was to connect with as many human beings as we can today, thoroughly understand what their situation is, equally as thorough, describe what your solutions are, and then enthusiastically say yes or no that we might be able to do business together. That is sales.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. Again, they're real people. And our job as investors, we're here to make things better. We do have a special set of talents, right? Just like, in what was that, Liam Neeson, but like we have the ability to fix all of these problems. So, let's go into it with that in mind, and how can we add some value here?
For sure. That's awesome.
Awesome. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, kick it off. I mean, I think that is the value, is that perception shift. And if anything today, right, is shifting that belief system to like, it's not the tactical question. It's not the note. It's not the thing. I would encourage everybody to take a different path, which will impact what you measure, how you behave, what your expectations are. And I think it's a large perception shift that people are missing. You mentioned AI and technology. People get so distracted and consumed. There's so much information out there that we're finding people are naturally coming back to this. conversation. Neither one of us are typing, right? Like I'm not trying to pull comps on you right now and figure things out. And it's like, we'll learn a lot more about each other. And then wherever that goes, I don't know, but like, right. Investing is a game of odds to begin with. So, hedge our bets, have good conversations and let it roll. So yeah, man.
100%. So I know that you work with a lot of different people. Is there, like, how do things change when you're coaching either like an individual or like a whole team? Are there any kind of I mean, does that change up at all, or is it just kind of the same message all the way through?
Yeah, so I think there's a two-part answer there. One is sales. What's amazing about it is it's this empathetic, non-scripted game we just said. However, a sales process is
Hmm.
about the only constant you can have in your business. So
Okay.
if your variables are 11 marketing channels,
Got
two
it.
different direct mail pieces, every
Hmm.
seller is unique, every inside sales person or lead manager is unique, every acquisition agent is unique. So everything's a variable. If you
Hmm.
don't have a constant of how you naturally control things,
Hmm.
that kind of is like chaos, right? Like your business will start to look like a mosh pit. And
Yeah.
whether it's a team of one and you're getting into real estate investing, or you've gotten out of the sales seat and now you can't sleep at night because you're like, I wonder if we should have converted that lead. We should have
Yeah.
done this. We should have done that. That's where the process piece of sales is really
Got it.
helpful, because then we know that everybody's doing things the same way. We're all talking the same language. We enthusiastically can say, yeah, we paid $300 for that lead, but
Hmm.
we're not for them. They are not for us. And I'm going to move on, and we don't feel bad about it. There's no woulda, shoulda, couldas when it comes to that. And then whatever more is, whether you want to copy, paste, and repeat to get bigger or get better or more efficient, you can
Hmm.
do whatever you want from that point forward.
Nice. So I think there's an important distinction there to be made. We don't want a script or we're sounding robotic, but there has to be a process. And when we ran our wholesale company, we called it like a call flow, right? Like I kind of
Sure.
want to get from here to here, and these are the
Yeah.
things I want to hit along the way. And sometimes it's going to be a little detour, but I want to get back, onto the road to kind of move this thing forward. But then, so talk more about that, and then the actual, the sales process, because I don't want people to hear this and go, "Oh, I shouldn't be following a script," and then like I'm just gonna wing it all the time. Like that's gonna be my plan.
Yeah, and I think as you progress, the evolution of sales is it's like that crawl, walk, run kind of
Mhm.
thing. So what
Yeah.
you described is eventually we want to get to a place where we just understand the sales process, which for us is like we set ground rules.
Mhm.
We build trust, then we qualify or disqualify, then we
Yeah.
discuss solutions, and then we close. So we have 5 steps in our sales process. A very
Okay.
seasoned salesperson understands them, and they don't need those guidelines. It's kind of like driving down the highway. It's like that's just the guardrail so you don't drive off a cliff.
Right.
Right? In your earlier journey until you get there, a talk track, a framework, those things are great because they help control the skill set as you go.
Mhm.
Um, such as talking 30% of the time, listening 70% of the time.
Right.
It almost is like a calculated, conscious effort to do those things.
Mhm.
We want to talk to the person for 3 minutes before we ask a question about the house. That's
Yeah.
really, really, really hard to do. And that's
Mhm.
where those talk tracks and frameworks can help control that. But what that is reverse engineered. We've done over 4,000 transactions, and we say, hey, successful ones, this is what that looks like. Here's how
Yeah.
we got there. So we kind of started at the end, came back to the beginning. And then
Uh-huh.
if you follow that flow or framework, the odds are in your favor that you'll have a better conversation and more likely, to convert.
Love that. So when you talk about KPIs for people that are listening and just want to pull something really tactical out of this, what are those like really specific KPIs that somebody should be tracking?
I think there's 6 core KPIs to an entire business that reflect or represent everything that happens, which is gross leads, a reflection of marketing.
Yeah.
If we don't have gross leads, we have zero chances, which means revenue is it's not going to exist.
Mhm.
Qualified leads is, are we marketing to the right people? Are we answering the phone? Are we doing the things? So these are people we could do business with. Then we set appointments, whether you're in person, phone, virtual, 1 call close, 2 call close, or some semblance of like a commitment and evolution to an appointment set.
Mhm.
That's a reflection of inside sales skills. How good are we doing at converting an opportunity? Fourth, being appointments attended. That is a reflection also of sales skills. Like, did we convince people, hit KPIs, and they
Mhm.
said they wanted Zestimate, and we said, okay, we'll be out tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or right, did people ghost us because we got a soft commitment? So that's a reflection of, again, the inside sales skills.
Mhm.
Then contracts. after we attend those appointments is how great did we do at those, and then the revenue generated from them. So we always look at those 6 core metrics, and in between each of those, there's either a percentage, which indicates like the fall off or the handoff, and then there's a quantitative value. Did we have enough of them or did we not? And generally, we can diagnose about any size organization from looking at those 6 metrics. And you don't need 1,000 to do it. You don't need crazy scorecards and spreadsheets to get there.
Nice. Guys, I'm going to jump in. If you're watching this, we're going to throw a little link up here. We're going to talk about that at the end, but I just wanted to give you a little something to grab onto right now. So I definitely want to talk about KPIs because I love all the things you're saying. So people told me, like when I was first starting out, you need these KPIs. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have time for that. I'm just so busy, right? I'm going out and I'm doing all of the other things and people ignore it. But once you get those KPIs, now we can actually diagnose the business, right? Now I can look in and say, oh, okay, this is where my business is failing. I don't need to throw everything out and start all over again. This is just the one part where my numbers are bad. So maybe that's a conversion problem, or, there's something, when I look at my whole process, right? Having those KPIs tells me where the breakdown is.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to work on the one that's the easiest to fix and has the biggest impact. I don't know. You've been doing this a long time. I'm accumulating years, and I don't think there's ever a point where you go hands off and it just runs itself.
No, because we're always changing things in our business.
And the market changes, marketing changes, so you're never going to get to a place where there's nothing to do. So stop trying to race to that point. Just get used to constant improvement and focusing on the things that have the biggest impact. You want to treat it almost like it's boring, right? Like do the least, yield the most from it, and then just constantly nurture that machine.
Well, and I love that. I've had some mentors who have told me that, like, getting rich is boring. It's just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And the more you do it, just the better you get at it. And, a new person might look at you or me on the phone and be like, oh my God, you're making it look so easy. But yeah, because we've done it 2, 3, 4,000 times, that it's just, you do need to get those repetitions in there. But I do think tracking those KPIs, they do get you there a little bit quicker. So,
1,000,000%. Yeah. I mean, that's the story of that's the pulse. Like the first thing you do when you go get checked out is they take your vitals and they look at your KPIs. If you want to get in shape, first things a coach will tell you is track calories and burn at a deficit. It's a very algorithmic game. Like the math tells the story, the emotion is what inspires us to want to wake up and do it every day. But finding a balance there is absolutely pivotal.
Yeah. So for, again, for people who are listening and they're like, oh, I think all that's great, but I just really need to hire this rock star closer. I need to go find the best closer, and that's going to solve all my problems. What's the danger in that thinking?
It will help short term, solve some problems, and you will make some money that eventually will get boring, as you mentioned. However, if somebody's not a great cultural fit, your business actually becomes more vulnerable to that de facto person of them. So now you kind of lose control of your business. They become the lifeline of your revenue. When they leave, when they realize they're doing the lion's share of the revenue, like what is the negative impact of that downstream? Who wants to work with those type of people if they're not? Now, if you could go find a rock star person that's a phenomenal culture fit, wants to help process what works best and has great longevity, you found a unicorn, which we all seek for. And that's out there. But yeah, man, the dangers of that are becoming very vulnerable to a person and their unique abilities, not a sales process.
Yeah. So when you're working with people, do you think having a good sales process is more important, or trying to find that unicorn? Like which one is going to help you, or help your client or the wholesaler? What's going to help them succeed more in the long run and build a good foundation?
Yeah, I would have said it depends until you said in the long run. The long run is always going to be a sales process. Yeah. Like it's easy for somebody to show up and throw up and make a big mess, whether that's a financial impact or a mess of your culture, but it's short term. I always go to the Simon Sinek analogy of like the Navy SEALs will pick somebody that is medium performance and high trust over a high performer and low trust, whatever that translates to in your business, like wondering if they're working, taking money, stealing leads, like not good for the culture, whatever it is. And that to me equals, right, that's like the process is like, this is maybe not as quick. Maybe this month isn't as great. Maybe it's not as flashy and appealing as a crazy sales guy. But when you said in the long run and for your team, your sanity, your culture, 100% to establish a good sales process. And it's not hard. Like this isn't a 12-month project, right? It's just defining what that is for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for sure that, yeah, to have something long term, I would much rather have the person who's going to show up every day, be coachable, be trainable, and just, come in and get that feedback and then go back and apply it on the phones than the person who's just magically gifted. And I've had a person like that in my office one time. This guy, he came from pest control sales and he was so good on the phone he made me uncomfortable to stay. Like he literally, he would talk almost every single person into a contract. His fallout rate was like 70%. Like I literally don't know how he did it, but be like 3 days later people be like, I don't want to sell my house. Like I don't know the magic that this kid had. And it wasn't like he was doing it maliciously. He
Yeah.
was just so naturally good on the phone that finally we had to let him go because it was costing us money, chasing these deals that were never going to close. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that's what happens.
Mm.
We hired a business coach one time, and it's always like perspective. They tell you the craziest stuff. You pay somebody a bunch of money,
Yeah.
you avoid some of your problems that exist, and then they just apply pressure to them. Where he asked me, and he was like, "Hey, man, if you had a tumor that was cancerous, how long would you let that in your body for?"
Yeah.
And we were talking about a person that was that toxicity, even though they could generate some revenue. And I
Right.
was like, damn it, like that's a very loaded question. Like, get it out right away. And he's like, so what are you doing? And I
Yeah.
think that's like the same where it's like build for sustainability. It's
Yeah.
every time you want to rebuild your business from ground up, you want to do it
Mhm.
less each and every time. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
I think it's so true. And that's happened again to me. I've paid so much money for amazing coaches and they'll tell me stuff and it will just rock me. And I'm like, that wasn't that brilliant. Like I knew that.
Yeah.
Apparently I just needed to pay $50,000 to bring somebody in
Some validation.
yeah, to tell me how dumb I was and that the answer was right in front of my face. Okay, last question. I'm going to put you to the test here.
All
So,
right.
if you had to rebuild your sales process from scratch with just your phone and a whiteboard or your phone and a pad of paper, what are the first steps that you would take?
On a Friday afternoon, David.
Friday
Um,
afternoon, man, before we're going into the weekend.
I actually love that question because
Yeah.
our sales team, if I was to build my sales process, it would literally be encouraging myself, if I'm doing it, or my team, if they're doing it,
Mhm.
to do just that, oversimplify it. I would write down a couple pivotal things that need to exist. You
Mhm.
mentioned a whiteboard or a note tablet. We
Yeah.
don't use computers. We have a big team and do a lot
Really?
of deals. I do not want to hear the tippity tapping while I'm trying to
Yeah.
talk to you. You're telling me about a husband that passed or a pre foreclosure. So, what
Mm.
I would do is I would write down like 4 questions on that whiteboard, and that would be my talk track, my framework, all of those things.
Love that.
I would, we start everything in the 6 connecting questions, which are toddler: who, what, when, where, why, how. So, I
Mm.
would write those at the top of my piece of paper, and I would make sure I asked one of each of those things. And then at the end of the day, I would focus on maybe 3 to 4 specific questions, such as, like, what is this going to do for you? If it doesn't happen, right, what are we losing the opportunity of or to do? How can I help you get there? And then how will that make you feel at the end of that? And I would kind of understand their needs, their current problems. I want to understand how their perception is of how they're going to get there. And I
Yep.
equally want to learn what that's going to do for them at the end of it. And I would be very simple and ask a lot of those 6 connecting questions. That would
Mhm.
be my sales process. There would be no worries about objections and overcoming things. I would simply focus on listening and asking a couple basic questions.
I love that. We literally have, one of our core foundational things here is simple is scalable. So I love that you're really breaking that down and keeping it simple and, being a human and talking to another person and just trying to solve those problems. So absolutely, absolutely love it. I know we're about to wrap this up, and a lot of people have probably gotten a ton of value out of this. Where can they follow you, or like what's the best way to connect with you and maybe get some help with some of these things that we've talked about?
Yeah, so if somebody wanted to check out our community, we run a sales training community that does this. It is how you build the foundation of sales and then how you work on your skills. You can grab
Mhm.
a 7-day free trial at ramprei.com, as you see there on
Yeah.
the screen, and you get full access to everything. You can catch 3 calls in that 7-day trial with our team, live training calls, direct access to the
Mhm.
community, hundreds of hours of modules and learning material and documents. So it's a great crash course and introduction if you don't maybe even know what that
Mhm.
exists in a community out there. And
Nice.
otherwise, I love connecting with people. I want to answer the questions that may seem silly, where you're hung up. I want to get you one step further ahead from where you are today to where you want to go. And Facebook's a great place to connect with me. That name, there's not many Benmonts out there. So I'm a pretty easy target to find.
Yeah.
Shoot me a DM, follow and connect with me. And let's just chat. Let me know where you're stuck. Let me know where you've been hung up in sales. Let me know what would make your life better tomorrow that is something lingering on your brain today. And that's all I'd ask, is to connect with cool people who want to go on this journey together.
Nice. Guys, that is an absolutely amazing offer. Um, like I said in the intro, 100%. I know that he works with some of the top teams in the country, and that's an amazing offer to give them access to your group for a week. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having us. And all we want to do is share some of that knowledge, not make the mistakes you and I have over all these years of doing it, shorten that runway and have a good
Yeah.
impact on people. And then once they get deals, I know I can send them right back to your team and you guys can take it from there.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much for coming on. I'd love to have you talk to Hannah, and we can schedule these more often, once a quarter, once a month, because I know there's just so many real tactical things that that you can bring and that would just really help people. So I think that's amazing. Thank you so much for popping on.